Hello and welcome back. In this episode I'll be showing how you can make a falling block trap, like this one here. And as usual there'll be an accompanying PDF file that you can download from DriveThruRPG. Now it is a pay what you want file, so feel free to grab it for free or pay a small amount if you feel so inclined. Anyway, let's get started. Right then, the first thing we'll need to do is cut this pattern roughly to size, leaving a white border around the edges. And we're going to be sticking that to a piece of thin cereal box card, just using a regular glue stick. And that's what I'm doing here. Just making sure there's plenty of glue on the back, and then sticking it down. There you go. Once that's done, we will need to leave it to dry for a few minutes, but when it has dried, we'll score it along these lines shown here, so that when we do cut the whole thing out, it makes it easier to bend into this kind of shape. And that's all we're really doing with this piece. Okay then, next we'll do a similar thing with the side panels, but this time they need to be glued to some corrugated cardboard. And they can be cut to size as well. Then, as you might have guessed, we're going to glue all of these together. So I'll leave the video running while I do just that, as there's not really much point in me talking over this part because, well, it should be fairly obvious what I'm doing. And when we finish doing that, here's how it should look. And that's the main part done. It's pretty straightforward stuff. Okay, for this next part, we'll take this texture and glue that to some more cereal box card, which we can then cut to size once it's dry. Though I should point out that we're only cutting out the outer box at this stage. Then we'll cut out this texture, which is similar to the previous one, but it has a darker border around the edge, and we'll just need to glue that to the back of the first piece, making sure they're both facing the same way. So, something like this that you can see here. Once again, we'll leave that to dry before cutting it out, and then it's time for the tricky part, as the next step is cutting out that central white portion. And, as I say, it can be a bit tricky, but on the artwork I've kept all the lines straight, and I find it's easier to kind of position the blade and then press it down through the card, rather than trying to drag the knife along the edge of a ruler. Hopefully that made sense. You can also see that I've cut out a little section along the bottom as well, and this is just so that I can kind of squash it together or pull it apart when I loop it over the bracket later on. In case I haven't cut things out quite as accurately as I would have liked. It just gives me a bit of added wiggle room for the assembly. But yeah, here I am finishing that off, and when it's done, here's how it should look. So, this is the kind of thing that we're aiming for. Okay then, next we'll need to glue these last two pieces to some cereal box card, then cut them to size, and we can also bring the first piece back in. From here, it's a simple matter of adding some glue to the bottom of the square piece, and sticking that on top of the dark shadow on top of the stone block. We can then take a barbecue skewer and kind of bend the middle of the small rectangular piece over that to make a kind of bracket shape, like you can see here, which then fits inside the hole that was cut into the end of the chain. So, something like that. It's then just a case of applying some hot glue to the underside of this, and sticking the whole thing on top of the rectangular shadow in the middle of the metal plate. And with any luck, that should end up looking like this. Actually, let's bring that a bit closer to the camera so that you can see it in more detail. But yeah, that's the block itself done, though I will point out that I've also included a cracked floor texture to go along with these, which you can use to make one long passage or two smaller ones. And these are made in the usual way. Anyway, here's a picture to show them in action, so to speak, and as you can see, these could be used as traps, where heavy blocks fall from the ceiling to squash intruders, or to block off the entrance to a room once the characters step inside, or they could even be part of some kind of puzzle, one where the players have to figure out how to raise them in order to gain access to another part of the dungeon, though I'm sure you can think of some other ways to put them to use as well. And that's pretty much it for this episode. Just a short video this time, as it was a fairly simple project, but thank you for watching. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.